evening, Mr. Bland.
Good evening, Anthony. How are you? Grand.
Fantastic. I'm not as
Very
good as
good.
the sound man that Devontae Adams pushed over though.
Yeah, just going to get a nice payoff, isn't he?
Yeah, beautiful. Honestly, I'd take that all day, every day.
Yeah, he's done the right thing, straight to the police. As if video evidence isn't enough.
Yeah, straight to the hospital. Oh, my back, my neck, my neck, and my back.
Yeah.
I'd never be cameraman or soundman ever again.
No, he's played a blinder.
Yeah. On a serious note, do they think Adams might get a suspension or?
Yeah, it seems to be looking that way. Yeah.
Well, you don't need that, do you, for your star wide receiver doing stupid stuff like that?
No. But then, he shouldn't be a dick. So.
Yeah, absolute dick move, wasn't it? It's pathetic. Yeah. Absolutely pathetic.
Yeah.
Dummies out because they got beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Expect better, don't you? Anyway.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, before we get on to the main stuff as well, I got excited this morning when I seen run CMC to the Bills rumours. Now, are they just rumours or can I expect him into the...
It would appear so. The main NFL insiders have come out and said that there's been no talks about it since the talks are had pre-draft about it. We'll see. I mean, at the moment, the Panthers are in prime position for the first overall pick in the draft next year.
Yeah.
They've now got no head coach. If they decide to go down that route, it would make sense to get rid of McCaffrey. There's no point.
What would they get for him? I guess it'd be pretty fucking extensive.
I don't know. I don't know because it's not often a team trades for a running back of this caliber, right?
Yeah.
The league don't really value running backs anymore. They might get a third, something like that, a second, conditional second, something like that, maybe.
Right.
Not sure, but I'd be surprised if it's a lot more, because not only would the trading team have to give something up for him, they would also most likely have to give him a new contract, because as his contract stands now, he's going to be owed, or he's going to be worth 20 million against the cap next, or just under 20 million against the cap for next year and 2 or 3 years after that. And if that's the case, no team's going to pay that kind of money for a running back, as good as McCaffrey is. So they're going to have to offer him a new deal to then lower that number.
Right. So that's the stumbling block for the Bills. It's not like the third round or even a second round pick. So obviously a no-brainer. That it's actual like cap money they'll spend on him.
It'd be cap related, because it's unlikely that you're going to give up a second round pick just to have him for this year, and then like you then handcuffed to that contract. Yeah, whoever has him for next year, regardless whether he stays on the Panthers, goes elsewhere, they're going to have to give him a new deal to get that cap number down.
But the Bills must be thinking, if we get him in, we could win the Super Bowl this year. And do we?
Do they? Don't really use it.
It's certainly going to help, aren't it?
Oh, well, it's not going to hurt, but if the Bills want to win the Super Bowl and you're looking at the Panthers, then you trade for DJ Moore, don't you? Not a running back. They generally don't use a running back, do they?
Yeah, is it because they haven't got a good one?
Singletary's a grand running back. Maybe he's not great in the passing game, and that's what they brought Cook in for. He doesn't look great in the passing game so far. But Singletary as a rusher is very, very good on a per rush basis. He's very, very good. But they just don't use him. We've seen the Bills go out and throw the ball 25 times in a half and run the ball 3 times because they can.
Yeah.
So would you? I mean, obviously, McCaffrey's a much better running back in the passing game than what Singletary. Singletary is actually one of the worst in the league in the passing game. But no, if you're looking at the Panthers for nicking assets off, then DJ Moore, you've got Gabe Davis, DJ Moore, Stephon Diggs is your 3 wide receivers. I'd say you get more value that way, but who knows? This thing with McCaffrey might be nothing, might be something.
Yeah, it certainly gets people likes on Twitter and followers on Twitter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
While you shut the door, so I guess the first port of call for us tonight will be waiver wire pickups. I think.
Right.
Hopefully, some people can watch it before they got their waiver wire in the morning. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll present this players. Right. So I guess what your waiver wire sort of like shortlist going in for the waiver wires you're putting in for tonight or first thing in the morning?
Well, we'll preface it by you go on any waiver wire column. We're going to tell you to pick up Ken Walker. I'm in 34 leagues that has waivers, and Ken Walker is not available in any league. He shouldn't be available in any league, but apparently he's available in 55% of leagues.
55%?
Apparently so, but
I mean, you can see we can see 3 of them here. 1, 2, 3. I think I'm in a 4th one down there as well. And he's not available in any of them.
No,
he's not available in any of our redraft league.
No.
But for some casual leagues, he might be still there, might he?
Maybe, yeah. If he is, you pick him up. But no.
So
we'll move along.
Well, it even says there 60% rostered.
Yeah.
So for the casual fan, can you just explain to him why Kenneth Walker's a pickup?
Because Rashad Penny broke his fibula and is going to be out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So Ken Walker, he's a 2nd round pick. So he's no slouch. He led the nation last year in college with I think long runs, the longest runs, breakaway speed. So he showed that against the Saints. He got a gap, got a hole, and away he was gone. And I think that was on his 2nd or 3rd touch after Penny went out of the game.
But you can see his score there after Penny's gone off. Like he's done all right, hasn't he?
He played. Yeah, he played whilst Penny was in the game as well. But now they have no other primary rusher on the team. They've got DJ Dallas and Travis Homer who will still be used in the passing game out the backfield, but Ken Walker will be in line for 80-90% of the rushes there. Okay. So yes, that's if he's available, pick him up.
Yep.
The top one on my list at the running back position is Eno Benjamin. He came in for the Cardinals. He's been mixed in throughout the season so far, but James Conner went down in the 2nd quarter with a rib injury. Eno was playing at that point anyway, so Connor's got banged up again with his ribs. Darrell Williams then started mixing in some more after that with Eno, and he went out with a knee injury. And then Jonathan Ward, who is their 4th running back, he plays special teams and he did his hammy. So literally Eno is last man standing. Got to watch the practice reports for Connor this week, but as we saw with Alvin Kamara, anyone with a rib injury at this moment in time is probably on the wrong side of questionable, at least for the next game. and the Cardinals have the Seahawks coming up this Sunday, and the Seahawks are one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to giving up big plays to running backs, opposing running backs. So Benjamin is right at the very top of the list.
So if he's top of your list, right, and for people who are playing with some fab, how much in terms of percentage are you gonna?
It's hard to say because me and you need to have this conversation with our. Can you pull up our roster there?
Yeah.
The fantasy front office roster. So we need to have this discussion for our team because, as you see, we've got Penny there on our team. Obviously, he's out for the year now.
Yeah.
And then if you scroll down, we've got Henderson. We've got Henderson and Pollard, who are only the two running backs. Henderson has been very hit and miss. Pollard has had bloke games like he did last week. He's put up duck eggs. So for us, we need a starting running back really, at least this week, and then we can figure out things going further down the line. So for us in this situation, I think we need to go pretty aggressively. Do our waivers run tonight in this league, or do they run tomorrow?
They
run tonight. They clear tomorrow, yeah. Clear tomorrow morning.
Clear tomorrow morning, yeah. They clear on Wednesday mornings.
Right. Okay, so we're not going to have. This is why I don't like Tuesday waivers. It should be
I know, yeah.
Wednesday. Because you're not going to get any practice reports. So we're going to have to assume with our bid that James Conner's going to miss this week.
Tell you what, where's it say league settings?
The current, if you go down, scroll down. Oh no, scroll down. Yeah, so Wednesday, so.
So can't we put them in first thing in the morning?
It doesn't matter. We don't get practice reports until Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we just put... why don't we put his waiver in now?
Okay. Stick him in then. Waiver, yeah. So we've got 93 for Penny.
How much are we talking?
I would say about $18, $19.
So about 20%. Just
less.
Just less.
Yeah. Just less.
Let's go 19.
Yeah. Because we need him this week. If someone's just picking them up, they don't have to play them this week. Obviously, you can lower it. They're very hard, given what percentage of your fab, because it's very much based on your actual needs for your roster, right? If Penny hadn't broke his leg and he had the game that Ken Walker did, then we might look at picking him up just as a stash, and we could go a lot lower if we get him. We get him. If we don't.
Yeah.
So it very much depends on if you actually need the player or not. And our roster here, we need someone that can return us decent numbers this week at that spot.
Yeah. I've just thought, so if any of our any of our league mates watch this podcast tonight, they know how much we've put in for him, so we'll change that.
Yeah.
That'd be a test if any of them watch it, but never mind.
Yeah.
It's good to show people what the crack is.
Yeah.
Anyone else up there on your...
Right. I've got a couple of wide receivers that you probably want to look at picking up. First one's Rondale Moore. So he's on waivers there. And Rondale, last 2 weeks, has played over 90% of the snaps. He came back in after his gammy hammy and has gone into the... this last week he went into the role that Greg Dortch had been productive in.
Yeah.
Rondale's a much better player than Greg Dortch. The
Yeah,
week
was Rondale just coming
previously,
back from? Yeah, Rondale was there. The injuries there, isn't it? So yeah,
yeah,
because
he did his hammy.
everyone went out and picked Dortch up, didn't they?
Yeah.
He was sick.
So against Carolina there, where he kind of put up a dud, he was playing as an outside wide receiver because AJ Green was out. AJ Green came back this week. Rondale Moore kicked into the slot, and you can see his numbers improved a lot. So with Hollywood one side, AJ Green the other, and Rondale in the slot again this week against that Seattle defense, which is not great. You can expect a decent return from Rondale, and also going forward after the Seattle game, DeAndre Hopkins comes back, so you'll have Hopkins one side, Rondale in the slot, and Hollywood on the other side.
Okay.
And obviously Hopkins coming back is going to take away a bit more defensive attention. Certainly a lot more defensive attention than what AJ Green's going to take away at the moment. So Rondale could be running free across the middle of the field quite a bit. So definitely, especially with bye weeks coming up now, definitely want to stash.
Okay.
Another one to stash because as of yet, it's Michael Gallup, by the way. This next one, he's not available in our league, but he is available in quite a few. But he's not yet a full-time player since come back from his injury. But the Cowboys, like you can see there actually from his snaps, he only played 64 and 55% of the snaps. But basically, what they've been doing when it's been a running play and not a passing play, they've taken him out just to rest him, get him back acclimatized. Because he's actually run around on 85% of dropbacks so far.
Okay.
First game was pretty quiet last week. It also looked like it was a quiet game because he only had 5 targets, but they only threw the ball I think 16 times. So he had quite a high target share, judging by just because they didn't have to throw the ball that much, and that number, the overall pass attempts is obviously going to increase when Dak comes back, and as Gallup gets more healthier as well. So he's one to stash now, and just to watch his playing time tick up, because he's definitely going to be one for the second half of the season as opposed to immediate. But yeah, once Dak's back and healthy and Gallup is healthy, then yeah, he's going to be productive for you.
Okay.
They're the obvious ones. Obviously, I mean, you could probably pull up a load more. But those ones are the most obvious ones.
There was just a couple I was going to mention, and to be fair, we've been banging on about these for like the last 2 or 3 weeks on YouTube and in the groups and whatever else. But I think they're still available in some. So you've got, if I can spell his name right.
If you can spell it properly, yeah.
Yeah, well, so he's only 20% rostered. So Alec Pierce, you've been banging on about him for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
It just seems like you can see from his.
If you look at waiver wire columns now this week, he's a popular ad this week. But yeah, like you say, I highlighted him. I think it was after the week 4 game, and obviously we picked him up before the week 5 game in this league, and he had a big game. So yeah, he's someone who shouldn't be on waivers really.
No, another one was he's rostered in 70% now, but we've been saying for the last couple of weeks that he's all he needed was the touchdowns basically, and he got one last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he took even more of the work. Chase Edmonds had 2 targets at the start of the game, dropped both of them, and then was promptly dropped to the bench. And Myles Gaskin actually played ahead of Edmonds going forward. If you have Edmonds, you can probably drop him, especially now bye weeks have kicked in and you need roster spaces. Edmonds is a clear drop, which hasn't worked out for him so far.
And then last but certainly not least, just checking. Hayden Hurst. Main reason
Yeah.
Hayden Hurst is absolutely fantastic ginger beard. It's even made me contemplate growing mine out. Could I look at it? It's fantastic, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So long as you don't, so long as you don't grow a ginger man bun like he has.
But joking aside, he's getting plenty of targets, isn't he? Getting
Yeah, you look. Just look at you just want to look at the stat counts really. The week 3 he did his groin, and then obviously week 4 he was limited, but came back last week back into a full-time role. This Cincinnati passing game is still a little bit broken at the moment. Burrow's struggling a little bit, especially to get the ball downfield. So Hurst underneath, he's basically made Tyler Boyd null and void because they're pretty much living in the same area of the field, and it's Hurst who's demanding the targets over Boyd at the moment. As the season goes along, the O-line gels a bit more and Burrow gets a bit more time. Higgins, Chase are going to have bigger days, and that's when Hurst's production will be a little bit more spotty. But up until that point, you can pick him up and ride him as a back end tight end one.
Yeah. I was looking at him, but I've got Andrews and his bye week's week 10 as well. I think Hurst is week 10, so it's not good for me. But
I have one more. I've got one more.
Go on.
Actually, that it's just Cade Otton, Otton. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
For the Bucks. So
nice teeth.
Cambray was out this week with a concussion, and Otton came in and he played 94% of the snaps, as you can see there, and he ran a route on, I think it was about 86, 87% of dropbacks, which that's basically what you're looking for in a tight end. Can you
just explain that? If that's because for a tight end, some tight ends often block. So if they're running routes on a drop back, that means he's going to get targeted more, I guess.
He's out. Yeah, basically, yeah. Unfortunately, you get no points for good blocks. So yeah, what you want your tight end to be a shit blocker and a great passer, a great receiver. From a fantasy point of view. So, but no, Otton's usage was very, very encouraging. They took him. He was the first. If I can get the teeth in properly, he was the first pick of the 4th round in this year's draft class, and they quite liked him. And Kyle Rudolph started this game, had a bad drop, and was never seen again. Basically, then Otton, he became a full-time player, and he produced for them. So, if Cambray remains out with his concussion, then Otton is definitely someone to keep an eye on. For Dynasty, if he's available in Dynasty leagues, he might be worth a pick-up and a stash because Cambray's not going to be around forever. Kyle Rudolph's pretty much done now at this stage of his career. So he's one for the future, but the immediate future depends on Cambray being out. Keep an eye. But yeah, his usage on Sunday was definitely encouraging.
Okay, last one.
Yeah, I don't have any more
there. So as we're talking about waiver wire pickups, is there any trades you've stuck in for this week? Possible trade target.
I did. Yeah, so I've got 2 trade targets for redraft, and then I actually have a trade target for Dynasty as well.
Okay.
The two for redraft. First one's Pat Fryermuth, who we have actually in our league.
Yeah.
So he's at the moment he's out with a concussion, which is obviously not ideal. And he's coming off a predictably quiet week anyway, coming up against that Buffalo defense. But going forward, obviously, hopefully, this concussion he doesn't miss a game, or if he misses one game, whatever. Hopefully, it doesn't keep him out for long and he's grand. But so far at the position, he's second in targets per route run. He's fourth in team target share of all tight ends, and fourth in yards per route run at the tight end position. So he's a top, probably top 5-6 tight end going forward in redraft. It just depends on how long this injury is going to keep him out for. But hopefully he practices this week and he gets cleared, because there's a buy low window here coming off that low performance against the Bills, which was quite predictable, really, given their defense. We sat him in our league because they were playing the Bills defense. But if you've got someone like a Jacoby Myers coming off a decent game, or Adam Thielen, Juju, kind of one of those receivers who's on your bench and you need help at tight end, he's definitely someone who you should be looking to stick a trade in for. At the running back position, if you can sell high on someone like Michael Carter, who Carter scored two touchdowns last week, but it was Breece Hall who got them down to the 1 yard line. If Breece Hall goes over, then Carter doesn't get those touchdowns. So
yeah.
So that's the kind of range I think you're looking for Freiermuth. But it's just keep an eye on that concussion and the practice reports this week. But he's a top 5, top 6 tight end going forward for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Right.
Plandy, while we're on, can you just stick your video on low res just to see if it'll just sort your picture out? Right, so Pat Freiermuth, we got him.
Yeah.
What was your next one?
Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
So Etienne's takeover of the Jacksonville backfield continues now. You see there, these last 2 games, he's above 50% snap share. And Robinson's has now dipped under 50%. So it's Etienne is slowly but surely taken over, because James Robinson's efficiency game by game is slowly reducing. That Achilles injury looks to be catching up with him, as we've seen with Cam Akers with the Rams.
Yeah, I think
these backs are just not the same coming off Achilles injuries.
Robinson's total yards last week was 39 yards, wasn't it? Compared to
I mean, it wasn't a great game for Jacksonville anyway.
Yeah.
But Etienne's seeing more usage he's seen more usage in the passing game. He's seen 40% more of the backfield targets in the last couple of games than Robinson, and he plays almost 100% of the snaps in the 2-minute drill as well. So Doug Peterson said after I think Etienne only had 3 touches in the second half against the Texans, and Doug Peterson was asked after the game why that was, and he said basically that's my fault. I've got to do a better job of getting the ball to Etienne more. So it's in it's in the plans of the Jacksonville staff.
Yeah.
To give more touches to Etienne to increase his playing time. So if you've got someone like an Allen Lazard, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, or at the same position Jeff Wilson, Etienne he's definitely the better longer term player at the position. And obviously Wilson's doing grand now, coming off a good game, but at some point Elijah Mitchell's going to be back. It's going to reduce his role. Etienne's role, it looks like, is only going to grow. It's only going to get bigger.
Right.
So Etienne's a buy for me.
It's It's interesting that you mentioned DJ Moore there. So obviously, with the obviously Panthers head coach getting the boot,
Yeah.
isn't DJ Moore someone you either want to keep hold of or possibly even put a trade in for?
Possibly. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's a tricky one, yeah, for sure. Because it's it's hard to think it's going to get worse, eh?
Yeah, but I mean,
Uh,
it hasn't been great for him, but I'm surprised
yeah,
at them scores there. I thought he'd done a lot worse, to be fair. Uh,
yeah. I
um,
mean, the week two there, you take the touchdown away, and it's knock
yeah,
6 points off that, and
yeah.
it's not great, is it? The last couple of weeks, okay, being better, but now you're missing. I was going to say you're missing Baker. I don't know if Baker's going to be a miss or not, but he's going to have PJ. He's going to have PJ Walker in there with him now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky one.
If you
It's
did
a
want to
tricky
try
one.
and
I get what you're
trade for
saying.
him, you want to get him on the cheap.
Yeah. Like the Panthers are playing the Rams this week. We know the Rams are a mess. Um, the Rams are 9.5 point favourites, and I think I'm going to be backing the Panthers. Like you get in football when manager gets sacked, the team has a bump in performance. I can kind of see that with the Panthers. I can kind of see them, rolling into LA.
Have a little spurt.
Yeah, like I mean, the bet the good. I'm a Rams fan, so it's not good for the Rams fan. But at least I make money off them at the minute because the betting market hasn't caught up to actually how bad they are. Right?
Right. Okay.
Like they're so bad. The Rams at the minute, they're so bad. They're a bottom five, bottom six. I mean, the Panthers are, other than the Colts, are probably the worst team in the league. But
Other than the Colts.
the Colts, they are the worst team in the league. You're not going to change my mind. And the Colts are favoured this weekend, so we'll be taking them on. So yeah, it's not grand for the Rams, but I probably would if I needed a running back too with the promise of more, and somebody wanted DJ Moore, I'd probably do the trade. I have DJ Moore in a few leagues, and um, I would if I needed help, I'd do that trade. So I've got say I had one more for Dynasty.
Oh, sorry.
And this is a nod of the cap to you actually, because you mentioned him last week, and I kind of shit on your idea. Khalil Shakir. Yeah. Well, I didn't. I know I expected the Bills to win, but I didn't expect Josh Allen to be, on target for absolutely obliterating the NFL passing record by half time. But yeah, Khalil Shakir. So he showed in a near enough full time role last weekend that he can be productive when given the opportunity. Now he's not. We expect McKenzie back this week.
I hope so.
Yeah, and that's going to reduce Shakir to a part-time role again. So, like I said, this one's more for dynasty, or if they get injuries going forward later in the year, then just bear him in mind. We've seen him produce when given the opportunity.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. That was the thing about last week, was it was his first chance to prove himself, I guess, and he did, didn't he? So
he did, yeah.
The Nora can rely on him now. As soon as
Yes.
McKenzie goes down, I mean, Crowder's out for the season, isn't he?
He's got a broken. I don't know whether he's out for the season.
Right. Okay.
I don't know when. Yeah, they haven't put him on season-ending IR. I'm not even sure if he's actually on IR, but he's got a broken ankle, so I don't think you're going to see him back anytime soon. But no, with Shakir, I think McKenzie comes back, Davis and Diggs stay healthy. Next few weeks, he puts up a couple of duck eggs or whatever in the box score. and then in Dynasty you can maybe you're maybe nicking cheap 3rd round pick or something, and try and snaffle him on the cheap that way. But he's him showing in a full-time role that he can produce. He's definitely someone that I'm interested in from Dynasty. Yeah, if you can buy him for the future in mind.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's not jump the gun this time. So that's us done for transfer targets, the trade targets.
Trade targets. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let me. Thursday night preview.
Whoop-de-doo.
Whoop-de-doo, yeah. Commanders versus Bears.
They
like to treat us, don't they? Bears are favourites, yeah? What, -1?
Yeah. Bears -1, over and under of about 37.
Oh, geez, it's going down.
Yeah. And that might go down a little bit more as well, because just come through that Carson Wentz was a limited participant in the walkthrough because of a right shoulder injury.
Right. Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's nothing to be getting excited about in this game, is there?
One thing I want to talk about is for the Commanders.
Yeah.
Is the running back committee they seem to have established now.
Yeah.
So you've obviously got Brian Robinson, who's come back from the gunshots.
Yes.
McKissick.
Yeah.
And then you've obviously got Gibson as well.
Yeah. Like Robinson. So Robinson is the best one going forward at the moment, but he only played 28% of the snaps on Sunday. Not that Robinson.
How many Robinsons is there?
There's a lot. No. There's only one way to spell Robinson. There's just a lot of Robinsons. One down. No, keep going.
Hang on.
There it is. Yeah. So yeah, he had the most rushes, 9. But he only, like it says there, he only played 29% of the snaps. Antonio Gibson played a few more snaps than what he did, but he had 3 carries for 6 yards. So, and then McKissick played his usual role. So it's all a bit of a mess, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If you're a Robinson owner, ideally what you're looking for is that Antonio Gibson is going to be taken out of the 3-man committee and solely just used on special teams. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Robinson, definitely, yeah, you stash him, hoping that his role's going to grow going forward, but you definitely can't start it.
Yeah.
Gibson, you most certainly can't start. Three carries for 6 yards, not going to get it done.
Yeah.
And McKissick, it's kind of hard to know when to start because he's very much game script dependent, where they've kind of got to be in comeback mode for McKissick to kind of be relevant in the passing game. So yeah, it's pretty much for myself, it's a complete stay away at the time being.
So who else for the Commanders? So there's Wentz, who's obviously got a niggle. Dotson's got a niggle.
Dotson has a hammy coming on a short week. I'd be surprised if he plays. It's on a short week, so I'd be surprised if he plays. So yeah, you've got Curtis Samuel, who continues to lead the league, continues to lead the team in targets, and then Terry McLaurin, who even last week without Dotson wasn't really featured more than what he has been in previous games. Cam Sims was the third wide receiver, and they rotated Sims and De'Ami Brown. De'Ami Brown obviously had the 2 long touchdowns. That looks great. Puts up loads of numbers. But he was 6th on the team in routes run, so you can't really pick up De'Ami Brown. It was very much. He had 2 receptions for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's an absolute flash in the pan.
Logan Thomas is.
He was. I can't remember what his injury was for. But yeah, so
calf.
Does it say? Calf, right? Okay, so again, off a short week, I would say he's probably on the doubtful side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back onto the Bears.
Yep.
So Monty came back last week, and Herbert's
He did. Back to the bench. Fat Dave came in.
Fat Dave.
Looked, I give him. I actually like Montgomery. I think he's a pretty good runner. He's the problem he has. I think he's very elusive. He's very good at making people miss. The problem he has, he's as slow as a boat, so he can make people miss all day. He just can't get away. Once he's made a miss, he can't get away from them. If he had speed, he'd be one of the best backs in the league. But bless him, he can't accelerate away from people. But no, he comes in and the Bears love him. So he came back in. I think he had all but 4 of the running back touches. So yeah, it was full time role. He's the only one you can start, really. I think.
I thought you were going to say that. But Mooney had a decent week last week.
Well, he didn't though, did he? He had that worldie catch.
I say decent. It's just fucking better than what you did.
Well, no, because he had the worldie catch. He had the worldie catch, and then he had one more catch for 13 yards, and that was it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I mean, it's a low floor.
Yeah, the Bears, still the pass rate over expectation is still minus 16%. So it's hard, really hard. I have Drake London in one of my teams, and it's the Falcons are getting towards what the Bears are like. They're minus 10% pass rate over expectation, and Drake London's coming really hard to start. Although he's still seeing 35% of the targets, where Darnell Mooney's not even seeing that. I don't think he's even seeing 25% of the targets.
Yeah.
So if I'm struggling to start Drake London seeing 35% of the targets in a team that's passing more, although than passing less, but they're passing more than what the Bears are. Then you've got Mooney, who's in a team the most run heaviest team in the league, and who's seen a lesser target share. I just think it's
more wishful
thinking. I know you can, well, you kind of want. He's a talented player. No one's denying he's a talented player. Yeah, but it's just a shit situation for him.
Yeah. One I was banging on about all pre-season, Cole Kmet. We actually let him go, didn't we? But
we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah,
it's kind of little promising signs, little shoots of.
He out-targeted Mooney this week. He had 4. Mooney had 3. He had 4. I think he led the team. I think he led the team with 4 targets. So can we move on?
Yeah. Okay, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can move on, mate. Sunday football. Sunday starts and sits. So let's see how that goes. Who are we starting with today? Niners versus the Falcons. I think we'll start with.
All right. Okay.
I think Falcons are about plus 5.5. I think.
Yeah. Pitts plays, there might be a bet. If Pitts plays, there might be a bet.
Yeah, well, that's the first things first. What's the latest on Pitts? Obviously,
Don't
with his
know. See,
hamstring
we're not
injury.
gonna know until Wednesday. Eh?
Yeah,
We're not gonna know until Wednesday. But yeah, you've got the Falcons who were -10% pass rate over expectation, and then you've got the 49ers who are -8% pass rate over expectation. So neither team's going to be flinging this ball about much.
yeah.
Um,
I looked at this before, and I was scratching my head a bit for London. He's got him listed questionable on there. I don't.
yeah, so he came out of the game on Sunday against the Buccaneers because he hurt his knee.
Right.
He never actually went to the medical tent. Apparently, he said he landed heavily on his knee, and it was sore. So I think they were just kind of picking and choosing the spots with it. I think he'd be fine.
Yeah, I
Um,
couldn't find
you
anything
know,
on it. There wasn't anything like he
no,
was.
yeah, like it, yeah, it. I don't think they made a particularly great deal. I didn't know about it until after the game when it was mentioned by one of the reporters. I think who just said, why didn't you play the full complement of snaps like you usually do?
Yeah.
Um, and it was brought up then. So yeah, I just um, but I'm like I said, I have London, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm having to I'm having to seriously think about starting him because I think it was on Sunday. My whole point of playing him on Sunday was the Buccaneers are going to put up points, and it's going to force the Falcons. It's going to force the Falcons to throw the ball more, to keep up, to get back in the game. Well, they never. They had two drives where they just ran the ball. They were down 14 points, and on two drives they just ran. They never called a pass play. They just ran. And if it hadn't have been for that bullshit call on the roughing the passer call on Brady, there's a good chance the Falcons might have actually won that game.
Yeah.
So they're probably looking at thinking, well, we've almost won that game. They beat Cleveland the week before, doing exactly the same thing: run.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to change their ways anytime soon. So
Yeah.
it's going the wrong way for Drake London for me. So before
And same for Pitts as well.
I
Yeah.
was I was starting without thinking about it, where now I have to put serious consideration into it. So and obviously the Niners are top two, top three defense in the league. Need to see what Bosa's injury's like. Obviously, he came up gimpy with his groin
Right.
in the last game. But still, obviously Bosa's a big miss to any defense. But still, it's a good defense without him. So
Um.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I heard you mention him before, actually, and
My name is Jeff.
Jeff Wilson. Yeah. So I wrote in my notes how serious we're getting with Jeff, and
Don't
obviously I
know.
heard. I tell you
Don't
what.
know.
Points aside and stats and all that aside, when I watch him, I really like him. He's got it just seems to be real burst of speed, and once
Yeah.
he gets rolling, he's rolling. I like to watch him.
Yeah, but look at his snaps. His playing time's reduced week over week.
Yeah,
Now, against the Rams, I think one other running back touched the ball once, I think, in that game. Against the 49, against Carolina there at the weekend, Jeff's done grand 120-yard game, 7 yards a carry. They made a concerted effort to get Tevin Coleman involved,
yeah,
especially in the passing game, which is quite bizarre. So yes, I think you start Jeff as a low end running back 2. You can definitely start him as your second running back.
yeah.
but they definitely made an effort to get Coleman involved, and obviously Coleman has plenty of previous history with Kyle Shanahan. And this is a revenge game against the Falcons as well for Tevin Coleman coming up. But yeah, the usage, the snaps declining week over week for Wilson is not ideal. It's just something to bear in mind. Obviously, why he's still producing as he is, okay, grand. But it's something to just keep in the back of your mind.
And then you obviously got this man coming back whenever he's coming back.
Yeah, so again, scroll down. I just want to see when scroll down. I just want to see when their bye week is. Right, he'll come. Yeah, so week 10. So they said 8. They said 8 weeks. They reckoned when he got injured, he'd be out 8 weeks. So he'll be pushing to come back against the Rams. You'll probably hear about it in reports and stuff. But the sensible thing to do is hold him out through the bye, and then you bring him back week 10 against the Chargers.
So potentially in week 10, you're going to have Mitchell, Coleman, and Wilson. Obviously, all of them capable as well. They're not like
but Deloney carry 2, so someone will be the odd man out. Probably Tevin Coleman will be the odd man out.
Yeah,
because the keep use check, obviously use checkers are active, and Jordan Mason will be active purely for special teams. So they're not going to have 5 running backs active. So one of them, and it'll probably be Coleman who would be inactive. But I'm not saying pick Tevin Coleman up. I just think he could be more of a nuisance to Jeff Wilson than actually having much standalone value himself. Although he's put up 21 points in the last game, but he always has good games against the Panthers.
Okay, next one is the Patriots versus Browns.
Right, yeah.
I think are the Browns favored?
They are. The Browns are favoured by 3. I might be on the Patriots here. This seems like a good spot for Belichick. Because I don't know how Belichick's going to play it. Because we spoke about the weekend. What Belichick does, he takes away your best player.
Yeah.
And he says, right, as they did with Hawkinson at the weekend. Hawkinson come off a career game, and then at the weekend he vanished. You could see that coming a mile off, because that's what Belichick does. So, the best player is Nick Chubb, obviously, but I don't know how they take away Nick Chubb because the Patriots' rushing defense is not the best. But I think that will be his plan. It'll be to nullify Nick Chubb as best as he can. But if you have Nick Chubb, you're still starting Nick Chubb regardless, because he only needs what he only needs one crease, and he's gone for 90 yards. So he's capable of breaking a big one at any time. But you can start Njoku, and Njoku's doing really, really well. He's a mid tight end one.
One person I was going to ask you about on the Browns is Cooper.
Yeah.
So just a bit. It's just a bit up and down, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Cooper, Amari's like that. So Amari's like that. So does Belichick say, right, we're going to take away Cooper, and you beat us with your other wide receivers, and we do our best to bottle up Nick Chubb? I don't know. But if Cooper had a quiet game, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me. So it'll be interesting to see how Belichick plays it. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. In terms of the Pats, Damian Harris looks like he's going to go on IR, doesn't it?
I don't know whether he's going to go on IR, but they definitely said he's going to miss multiple games. So, but
hamstring.
Yeah, it's Ramondre season, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be the start of the week, is he?
Pretty much, yeah, because the Austin Eckler, who is a very good receiving back, he's not a great rushing running back, and he put up 179 yards, I think, against him.
Right.
Ramondre is going to absolutely feast because they're just going to run the ball. They've got Bailey Zappi in there. They have to protect him. They don't want him putting the ball in harm's way. Did a grand job against the Lions, and it's pretty much going to be the same as that. The Browns are missing Andrew Walker. He's out. I think he's on IR. But he's their main linebacker. He's out, and that run defense has just been getting gashed by everybody. The Falcons did it the previous week. Austin Eckler, even Josh Kelly to a certain extent, did it last week. And Stevenson's a top 3 back in the league when it comes to rushing ability. So he's going to absolutely feast.
So if you've got Ramondre Stevenson, get him in. And I've never heard of this guy before.
Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong, yeah, I think he was a fifth round pick, maybe? Mid-round pick anyway. Decent, half decent college profile. But the Patriots seem to like him.
Yeah.
He's been active now and again. He's 4 snaps there, but not really done anything. Don't know whether it's going to be him who's going to be the backup. It could well be JJ Taylor. Could well be JJ Taylor, who is the guy who's going to come in and give breathers basically to
Ramondre.
But
Oh,
all right.
I don't know what's going on there.
But yeah, I don't see anybody else being relevant behind Ramondre here.
Yeah.
Just going back to what we discussed before on the waiver wire targets. The Cardinals have brought in a group of running backs today to work out. So that suggests that the Connor injury is going to at least keep him out this week.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I think it could be wheels up for Eno Benjamin this week.
Eno Benjamin, yeah.
Yeah.
Next one, Jets. One thing I noticed with this game for the Jets and the Packers. Packers are 7 point, well, nearly 8. Well, they've just gone down.
7.8.
7.5s.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, really want to take the Jets with a point,
But
it's the Jets. See, we've seen it. We've seen it 2 weeks in a row now. Yeah, this Packers offense isn't good enough to blow anybody out. So I don't think it's good enough to beat anyone by more than a touchdown. The only in the second half last week. Credit to the Giants. That Giants coaching staff is top quality. Dable with Martindale, their in-game adjustments are absolutely superb. Some of the best coaches in the league. But the only points the Packers scored in the second half was a safety that the Giants deliberately scored to run out the clock at the end of the game. They were horrendous. And what Matt LaFleur said was that team stacked the box and dared the Packers to throw on them. That's what the Giants have done. That's what the Giants did, and what a couple of teams have done. What the Patriots did to them as well, which I think is worrying if you've got the 2-time reigning MVP at quarterback, and he can't take advantage of favourable matchups whether it's because of him, because of his protection of his O-line breaking down, or his receivers not being good enough. There's at the moment teams have given other teams a blueprint on how to beat the Packers, or how to limit the Packers' offense. So until they start getting better production out of the wide receivers, tight ends, etc., it might be a bit ropey.
Yeah.
I think the Packers are definitely a team that are going to improve as the season goes on, but and generally it would be a good spot to back the Packers in, going back home to Lambeau, coming off a defeat. But it's a bit different than flying back to Lambeau from London as well.
Yeah.
The Jets definitely intrigue me at +7. I haven't decided if I'm going to play it or not, but it's definitely on the consideration list.
Let's talk about the Jets players then. So Michael Carter last week, he's had a pretty good week, 17 points, 2 touchdowns. But
absolutely, yeah. But you look at those snap counts last 3 weeks. They're only going one way. And those 2 touchdowns, everybody saw it. They were fluky as hell. Breece. The only reason Breece Hall wasn't in was because he broke off a 60-yard run, a 79-yard run to get them to the 1-yard line, and he was absolutely gassed.
Yeah,
absolutely gassed. Yeah, he gets one or both of them over, then Carter doesn't get those opportunities.
Yeah, but I guess a lot of people just look at this box here and think, I'm either going to keep him, I'm either going to try and trade for him.
Sell high. Yeah, he's a clear sell high. If you could mug someone off into giving you Travis Etienne for Michael Carter, you'd snap the hand off, because those 2 players are only going in opposite directions.
Yeah. Another head scratcher for the Jets is Elijah Moore.
Yeah. I don't know why his snaps were down last week.
I mean, it's a hell of a drop off, isn't it?
Yeah. It's we have him in our league, and I think we can move on from him, to be honest, Anth.
Right.
The problem is you've got Elijah Moore, you've got Garrett Wilson, you've got Corey Davis, who are kind of all splitting target share, but then you have Braxton Berrios, who's playing just enough as well, to kind of make these other guys irrelevant. I think you kind of need an injury to one of the other 2, to Moore, Wilson, or Davis. You need an injury to one of them to make the other 2 relevant, especially now Breece Hall's got going in the ground game, and they don't have to, when they were doing well. You had Joe Flacco dropping back 60 plus times to pass. They don't want to do that with Zach Wilson. They if they can get away with Zach Wilson dropping back 35 times in a game, they'd be delighted. And the pie's just not big enough at the moment.
Yeah. On to Garrett Wilson, after obviously his week 2 breakout's just gone downhill from there as well.
Yeah, again, it's the switch from Flacco to Zach Wilson, and again, you can see his snap share again this week that was down.
Yeah.
I think it's got more to do with the running game, with him using 2 tight end sets as well. CJ Uzomah played a hell of a lot of snaps this weekend as well. So yeah, the passing pie, basically the passing, but you can take Randall Cobb off. We're not talking about Randall Cobb.
So as you can see, they've just pulled all the Packers wide receivers up.
He's the only one we need to talk about, Romeo Doubs. you still start Dubs as a wide receiver 3-4 on a weekly basis. You probably do the same with Lazard and hope he catches a touchdown.
Yeah, it just seems that Lazard, you need him to score a touchdown, don't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
To pull him up a bit.
Yeah, obviously he had a big week there against New England, 116 yards, no touchdown. But you take those TDs off him for the other games, and they're pretty mediocre. Dubs, he had a chance last week against Giants for a long touchdown that he just couldn't quite get on the same page as Rodgers for. He's the guy who's going to improve as the season goes along. Who's going to become the main man. So,
do you think any Romeo Dubes owners might be thinking, "Oh God," and if a cheeky little trade came in for him, he might be tempted to take away, to accept it?
Possibly, yeah. It doesn't hurt to put feelers out for someone like him.
I mean, you got that box score there, 5.9 last week. You might be thinking,
well, after week 2 in a dynasty league that I'm in, with a team that I'm kind of tanking. It's in its first year, but I drafted a lot of young players, with the preface that it's going to be one that's going to get better as time goes on. And actually, somebody offered me Romeo Dubs for next year's second round pick, and I snapped their hand off because he kind of fit the mold of the team that I'm wanting to build. And yeah, and I believed in Dubs as a player as well. That he was going to be a good player. And so it was. I think it was on the Sunday morning of that Tampa Bay game. So I was sat there awfully smug watching that. But I can't really claim it because that trade was offered to me. I didn't actually go out and make that trade. It landed in my inbox, and I thought, fuck yeah, I'll take that. Yeah.
So I will talk about Randall Cobb. I don't know if you're being age discriminating because he's 32.
Yeah.
Quite simple as that.
Yes, I am.
He just he's just old.
Yeah. If the Packers think they're going to win games by throwing the ball 13 times to Randall Cobb, they're going to be disappointed like they were on Sunday. Yeah. Move on.
Yeah, moving on, mate. Just give me 2 seconds while I change the screen about.
Watson did his hammy on Sunday, by the way. So
did he?
Yeah.
I noticed he only had 1 reception and 1 carry. I think.
Yeah.
I think his carry was like -4 yards.
It wasn't a reception either. It was a tap pass where basically it was a carry, and he's ran just in front of Rodgers. He's tapped it to him. That's kind of because he's not a he's just an athlete at the minute. He's too raw as a receiver. They're trying to get the ball into his hands in unconventional ways. So.
So the last but not least for today, episode 1, Jaguars versus Colts. 2 seconds.
Jags +2. We're all over it, aren't we?
Jags +2, all over it.
Get the better team getting points.
Yeah.
2.5.
Because the Colts are the
worst team in football. Worst team in football.
So let's start with the Jags players then. Christian Kirk looks to be going down the shitter.
Yeah. See, against the Eagles, you could kind of let him off because it was a shit game weather-wise. He was playing outside and not in the slot, and he still had 9 targets. So yeah, okay, take it on the chin. last week against Houston. All right, Houston's pass defense is underrated, but he was back in the slot, and for whatever reason, I don't know whether Houston made a plan to take him away or what, but yeah, it just didn't happen for it. I mean, I was watching one play at the end where the Jags were trying to get back into the game, and they actually kept Christian Kirk in the block, which was a bit galling to see.
Yeah.
If you're rostering him, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is it a blip? You'd hope it's a blip.
I hope so. But again, Zay Jones didn't have a good week either.
Yeah, but Zay Jones saw plenty of targets. Like no one had a good week for the Jags.
Yeah.
But like Zay Jones, he saw 8 targets. Evan Ingram saw a boatload of targets. Marvin Jones had a decent day, but yeah, I don't know whether it was the Texans' plan to say, right, well, we're going to take your best wide receiver away and then beat us with what you've got, you know.
We'll pull Marvin Jones up because he's one of the most beautiful men.
I know you're very
Look
fond
at
of
his
Marvin.
cheeky little face. Oh, he did have a good week, didn't he?
Yeah, he did have a good week. Yeah.
I'm a big Marvin Jones fan. He scored me plenty of points over the years.
Yeah, I mean, when he
For
was
the
with
Lions.
Detroit and Bengals before that, it was very good. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know whether it was just one of those games with Kirk, and they've said, okay, we'll take him away, and you beat us with your other players, which they couldn't do. Yeah, the Jags are a bet in this game. Hopefully, the line moves to +3, and we get the field goal with them. But yeah, coming off a defeat to their rivals, in division rivals, and then also the Colts fraudulently win the game against the Broncos because the Broncos are just as bad. Yeah, I think this market's a bit lopsided, I think the Jags beat the Colts again, as they have done quite regularly over the years.
So on the Colts side, obviously Hines got a concussion in the first drive last weekend.
Yes,
the Thursday night game, wasn't it? The Thursday.
It was, yeah.
Again, we probably won't know until Wednesday if he's going to be.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, we won't know. But if Taylor comes back, which is expected, I think, then Hines is null and void, and anybody else in that backfield.
So, do you think if Taylor does come back, he's just he's just a start, simple as? Because if I was a Taylor owner, I think I'd be slightly nervous.
You'd have every right to be nervous, I think. But you're talking about someone that you took first or second overall.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what do you do? If you're nervous, try and trade him, but you're not going to get 75% of your value, aren't you? You know, you maybe talk someone into believing that he's going to bounce back and do what he did at the back end of last year. But yeah, you'd have to put up a good case. But you're not going to get anybody that was taken in the first round. Let's put it that way. Certainly not a wide receiver that was taken in the first round.
Alec Pierce, we talked about him. Do you fire him up this week? I'm guessing. I guess any Alec Pierce owners probably haven't had him there at night against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They probably haven't. They might have picked him up there against the Titans, and they probably didn't have the balls to play him against the Broncos. So is this the first week that you could actually put him in?
Potentially, but you would like to see those snaps come up still, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Still, you'd want to see a week. Ideally, you'd want to see a week where those snaps are north of 70% before you could feel confident. You see Pittman there. Pittman's full-time player basically.
Yeah.
But it's good for Pittman that Pierce is producing, albeit in a lesser role, because that's going to take coverage away from Pittman.
Yeah. And then last but not least, Ali Cox back to earth with a bang.
Yeah,
Go lad.
44%. Season low snaps comes off a great game.
Yeah.
And then plays 40. But this is what the Colts do. The Colts just rotate their tight ends. So you can't play them in redraft because it's just it's just absolute tight end lottery.
Anyone else?
Tight end roulette is the worst I was looking for.
Yeah. Anyone else on either on the Jags or the Colts? Do you want to talk about, or do you think we've covered that?
No, I think you can start Etienne the way that's been playing out. I think you can start Etienne as a wide receiver, as a running back too. Sorry, and Christian Kirk, I have him in our leagues, in a couple of our leagues. I'm probably going to start him again. Probably going to give him the benefit of the doubt and start him again. And also, got a few teams on buys now, and you're looking for tight end help. Maybe if you've got Darren Waller, TJ Hawkinson, you need a tight end fill in for the week. Evan Ingram is someone that you can look at. He's on the field. He's on the field regularly there. You'd see 76, 74, 75% stats share. So he's pretty, as tight ends go, he's pretty much a full-time player. The problem you have with him, he saw 10 targets last week. The week before he saw 1. So it just depends how the game flow is going to go. But if you need someone as a bye week filler for a Waller, for a TJ Hawkinson, then you can probably do worse than Evan Ingram.
Okay. Good stuff. So this is going to be week 6, episode 1. So we've covered more or less half-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit less than half. Episode 2 tomorrow. We're going to get back together tomorrow.
Yep.
Talk about the rest of the matches on the Sunday and the Monday. Obviously, we're going to do Blandy's Banker of the Week.
Hopefully it goes better than last week's.
Yeah, and then we'll have a look at our team in the Fantasy Front Office pod. See if we've got that Eno Benjamin.
Yeah.
Waivers.
We'll message privately after this, Anthony.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah. We'll change that about. I'll just edit it out. But
That's grand.
Thanks for. I hope this has been helpful. If anyone can watch it before the waivers go in tonight or tomorrow morning, whatever. If you did like it, please like, share, and subscribe. Have a lovely evening. Goodbye, Mr. Bland.
Goodbye. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Can't wait. See you later, mate.